Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 1341. I am Mike Matthews, broadcasting from Cafe Anyway, located somewhere in Podcastro Valley, Mont. Today, Benita, the Disgruntled Fiddle player, the Brewmaster, and the wonderful segment where we look at some news called A Fine Article. And if you're Irish and you get mad at someone, you say, "Oh, he's a fine article."
Mike's Daily Podcast.
He doesn't get up as early as I do every day. He should get up early, but he doesn't.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
I don't know who I'm talking about there specifically, but it's like we are one big family living on this planet. I got all my brothers and sisters with me. Twisted sister, we're not gonna take it. Yes, we are. We're gonna say hi to Mom.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Because Mom has her special day this weekend. We love the moms. All the moms.
Mike's
young and old.
Daily.
You're awesome.
Podcast.
But I wanted to tell you a really cool thing, and that is my dog yesterday, Basil the Boxer, got to see my former mother-in-law yesterday, which it's so cute. She calls him her grand dog, and Basil calls her Woof. And it was so nice. They got to see each other. It'd been a long time. Hey, look who just walked in. Oh, my God. Right now. Hi, Mac. It's Benita the Rodeo Queen. Hi. How you doing?
Hey, to this girl fiddle player, tell you what.
What?
I hear y'all got a big chili cook-off thing going on in Podcastro Valley today. Tell you what.
What?
Chili cook-off.
Oh, that's right. That's today. I don't know if that costs any money or not. Look who else walked in.
Hello, Mike. I make the I'm the Brewmaster. Oh, boy, that's some delicious beer.
That is so good. Did you make this?
Yeah, Mike, I'm the Brewmaster. Of course I did. What was that for?
Your root beer's scary.
Mike, I make all the root beer all over the world.
Oh, kind of like the elves make all the toys all over the world.
That's right. That's what I said. Shut up now.
Okay. I can't shut up because it's my show. Ow! Brewmaster!
I'm violent today. I'll cut you.
Yeah!
Here's today's podcast picture.
Violent Brewmaster is back! Woo! I don't know how long you've been listening to this show, and the podcast picture, by the way, is of you, Disgruntled Fiddle player.
What? Say what? No. Tell you what.
What?
Chili cook-off.
We might talk about chili cook-offs today. I don't know. In the drawing, I haven't done the drawing yet, but back in the day when we had Haley on and we did the segment
The Daily Haley. Almost Daily Haley.
The Brewmaster and Haley used to get into it all the time. They would get the fisticuffs, and it'd get kind of violent sometimes, right?
Yeah, Mike, I didn't like that. When he would get mad at me, I'd want to punch him out. Like this.
Ow, ouch, ow. See, and those punches, it kind of felt like being hit with a Nerf football. Nerf footballs were very fluffy Nerfy thing. Did they still make Nerfs? And there was Nerf before Princess Leia said Nerf herder in the first made Star Wars movie, the Hope one. And she said something about the Nerf herder thing, and then that became a band in the 90s. Hey, I don't care anymore. What I'm saying is some people are supposed to get up as early as I do, and then they don't. And then I have to cover their butt. That's all I'm saying. Hey, is it time for me to go to a rally and start shouting, "Lock him up! Lock him up!" And this time, I am not talking about Hillary.
I just want to set the record straight.
Because Hillary's a she, and Donald Trump is a he.
Wrong.
No, it's true. And you should be locked up.
because you'd be in jail.
Now you're the one that should be in jail because you are with the Russians. You love the Russians so much.
I say it's better to get along with Russia than not.
And that you are the one that decided to make the move.
We had to make the move, and we decided to make the move.
And team up with the Russians in order to win the election. And that's how you got into the White House. Whoops, wrong button. Wrong button. Well, that could have worked too. But there we go. The end. That's the end of my little political rant. But I want you to also realize that if you are a Democrat or a liberal and you believe what I just said, I want you to also realize that be aware of the herd mentality, of the cult mentality, of the cult of fire. Gosh, I can't think of any cult songs. They had a song called Firewoman. The one I love is, okay, I'm gonna see Haley today, and Haley's gonna be singing cult songs all day. The dogs snap at your feet. That's all I got. Sanctuary, right? That was the big one. Hey, beware of cult followings is all I'm saying. You can follow the band The Cult, but don't get into a cult mentality. I got 2 words for you. Jim Jones. His birthday is this weekend. That guy, I had a thought. I thought about him earlier this week as I was trying to get to sleep, and his whole story popped into my head. I just watched a thing on C-SPAN in recent weeks. A guy wrote a book about him. He just laid out all this fascinating stuff. Apparently, he really came to power here in the Bay Area. He helped out people like, oh great, now I just forgot his name too. I want to say Monsanto, that guy. And I couldn't, he got a lot of political clout helping out the guy that some Bay Area guy I am, and that I can't remember the name of the big guy. It'll pop into my head later. But Jim Jones, did the thing where he went to that country. I can't think of anything right now. And that's where all those people died, 900. I remember that part. And it involved Kool-Aid and cyanide, and that's why they say the expression, don't drink the Kool-Aid, when it comes to crazy beliefs that everybody seems to be believing at one particular moment. And then he was the one that also, he started out, he was a preacher, is what he was, and he was all over the country at times and helped out a lot of civil rights stuff. He worked out, and he became kind of a hero in the civil rights movement. And this lecturer said, had the story ended where in his younger days, where he was a preacher and a champion for civil rights, he would have gone down as a hero. But because he ended up making 900 people commit suicide in the country, I want to say Guam. No, it was darn it. Anyway, fill in the facts later. He was this horrible, crazy man that caused all these people to commit suicide. So cults, that's one of the cults that ended badly. The Dave Koresh one ended badly. A lot of them end badly. So just remember that, the whole thing. Okay. And it just, thinking about that, just, I'm sort of in the area where it all came to prominence. Really kind of freaked me out for a second there. But so that's the psychology of people we want to follow. We have to be aware, pull ourselves out of that, and march to our own drum. Hey, check out the website, MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com, and see all the past podcast pictures. And if you're going to buy anything on Amazon and you want to help out the show, you want to do that, well, click on that Amazon link and buy whatever it is you're going to buy, and that helps us out. There is also the past podcast pictures, and and there's you can listen to past interviews that I did, and all that stuff. Oh, that movie Jonestown that they made. Who was in that movie? Was that wasn't Peter Fonda, was it? Jonestown. Guyana. That was it. Yeah, and they did this TV movie that was just it hit all the points that happened. And Moscone, thank you, George Moscone helped him out in the beginning. Indiana is where it all began. Thank you, Wikipedia. Okay, that helped iron out some of the stuff. The story of Jim Jones had in it Powers Booth, Ned Beatty, LeVar Burton, that's right, he was in that. Randy Quaid was in that movie too. James Earl Jones. But Powers Booth was the one. He kind of reminds me of Peter Fonda for some reason. But he did a great job portraying Jim Jones. Just really scary. All right, enough of that, this depressing topic. Let's move on to some other depressing topics. Now, we'll get to some interesting stuff too. That is all covered here in the segment called
A Fine Article.
First off, Iraqi security forces are only days away from completing the operation to recapture Mosul from ISIS. This according to the Army's Chief of Staff. He hoped the jihadist group would be defeated in the city before the Islamic holy month of Ramadan begins at the end of this month, May 26th. Recent gains in the north meant the remaining militants were being squeezed into an ever smaller area. Mosul fell to ISIS in 2014 and is its last major urban stronghold in Iraq. Pro-government forces launched a major offensive to retake the city in October with the support of U.S.-led coalition airstrikes. They managed to take full control of the eastern half of Mosul in January and started an assault on the west the following month. This according to the BBC News. Donald Trump is saying his busy schedule makes it not possible for his staff to speak at the podium with perfect accuracy. On Friday, he defended the struggle by his administration to come up with a consistent timeline and rationale for the abrupt firing of James Comey. He tweeted, "As a very active president with lots of things happening, it's not possible for my surrogates to stand at podium with perfect accuracy." Maybe the best things to do would be to cancel all future press briefings and hand out written responses for the sake of accuracy, ? The president's advisors said Trump fired Comey in response to a recommendation by Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein. Then said Trump had planned to fire Comey regardless, according to the Associated Press. Meanwhile, Attorney General Jeff Sessions, the guy from Alabama, overturned the sweeping criminal charging policy of former Attorney General Eric Holder and directed his federal prosecutors yesterday to charge defendants with the most serious, provable crimes carrying the most severe penalties. On drug charges, the Holder memo, issued August of 2013, instructed his prosecutors to avoid charging certain defendants with drug offenses that would trigger long mandatory minimum sentences. Defendants who met a set of criteria such as not belonging to a large-scale drug trafficking organization, gang, or cartel qualified for lesser charges and in turn less prison time. But Sessions' new charging policy, outlined in a 2-page memo and sent to more than 5,000 assistant U.S. attorneys across the country and all assistant attorneys general in Washington, orders prosecutors to charge and purge the most serious, readily provable offense. The Sessions memo marks the first significant criminal justice effort by the Trump administration to bring back the toughest practices of the drug war, which had fallen out of favor in recent years, with a bipartisan movement to undo the damaging effects of mass incarceration. This according to the Washington Post. Be interesting to see if that story picks up any interestingly, this weekend on the political talk shows. Injection opioid use among young people was the biggest contributor to a near tripling of new hepatitis C infections. This from 2010 to 2015. Federal data came out yesterday. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, said confirmed hepatitis C cases rose from 850 to 2010 to 2,436 in 2015. The disease has few symptoms and testing is so limited, however, the CDC estimates that about 34,000 people had hepatitis C in 2015, and nearly 20,000 U.S. deaths in 2015 were attributed to hepatitis C, according to USA Today. Now in some lighter news, Apple and Amazon have called a truce. After years of neck-to-neck rivalry over video, the Amazon Prime Video app will be coming to Apple TV. Apple will break the news at its Worldwide Developers Conference in June. The app ready for users as soon as this summer. So the rumors you might have heard last week have maybe indeed true. And for Amazon Prime members, the one glaring strike against Apple TV has been its inability to stream Amazon Video content, because you love that Amazon Video. I don't, but you do, right? Apple's iOS mobile devices have long supported a stripped-down version of Amazon's video app that doesn't allow purchases, but the app in any form has never been available for Apple TV. Meanwhile, over at Verizon, they have outbid AT&T to buy Spectrum holding company Straight Path Communications for $3.1 billion after an unusually intense bidding war between the top two wireless carriers in the U.S. AT&T announced its own $1.6 billion acquisition of the company April 10th because Straight Path, quote, holds a nationwide portfolio of millimeter wave spectrum. And this spectrum will support development of AT&T's 5G wireless network. AT&T said that it expected to close its purchase of Straight Path within 12 months, but rumors that Verizon would try to outbid AT&T quickly began to circulate, culminating in the deal reported yesterday. Verizon hasn't publicly announced its purchase of Straight Path yet. Straight Path, which had only 9 employees as of October, acquired most of its wireless spectrum more than 15 years ago, but was penalized this year by regulators for failing to build a working network. So that is what is in the way of you and having 5G and watching everything you ever wanted in the space of a second. You know, I was trying to show my dog's grandmother yesterday, my former mother-in-law, the video of Basil running out at Fairmont Ridge, and I was trying to get it through my phone and on Google's Photo, which I love Google's Photo oh so much. But when you don't have a good internet connection, it's crap. And I was trying, and the pictures weren't loading, and it was driving me nuts. But she was very patient, thank you. Yeah, so that is going to cut all that out when you get the 5G. In the moment Stephen Colbert has been waiting for, here it came, President Trump said about Stephen Colbert to Time Magazine the following. You see a no-talent guy like Colbert, there's nothing funny about what he says, and what he says is filthy, and you have kids watching, and it only builds up my base. It only helps me, people like him. He also took credit for Colbert's newly improved ratings. This guy was dying by the way they were going to take him off television. Then he started attacking me and he started doing better. But his show was dying. I've done this show. But when I did his show, which by the way was very highly rated, it was highest rating. The highest rating he ever had. Colbert addressed the quote in his Thursday night monologue, saying the President of the United States has personally come after me and my show, and there's only one thing to say. And then he broke into a gleeful, maniacal cackle. Yay! Rubbing his hands together, looking genuinely grateful at his audience chanting. His audience is chanting, Stephen, Stephen. Mr. Trump, he said, composing himself as the crowd noise died down. There's a lot you don't understand. But I never thought one of those things would be show business. Don't you know I've been trying for a year to get you to say my name, and you were very restrained. Admirably restrained, but now you did it. And Colbert said, I won. As we go outside a cafe anyway, located somewhere in Podcastro Valley.
God damn, he loves to hear himself talk.
I don't regret that, talking about the joke that he said that had involved sex and Trump and Putin. He said, I believe, can take care of himself, talking about Trump. And Stephen Colbert said, I have jokes, he has the launch codes. Next show, it is going to be Madame Rootabega, Valentino, and Bison Bentley. Thanks for your patience in me trying to find info about that historical thing earlier, cult thing. And I hope we enlightened you in some way. If not, well, I hope you've enjoyed this wonderful podcast called This American Life.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. Email Mike now at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!